Hello and welcome to Light Up, a platform where we get to have conversations that help us to help our loved young people to build skills, to elevate themselves, to become better people. And that helps us to do our job as parents, to do better parenting. Now, today I'm going to talk about a very interesting dynamic that we usually have between parents and children. The perceived position always is you're the parent, they're the children. And there is always that kind of level between the two of you. But there is this question that usually when I'm having conversations with parents, when we are having learning circles about parenting, that I ask them the question, is your child your friend? And I ask this question deliberately because I know of the dynamics. Now, we come from generations whereby we always looked at our parents as the elders, okay? And with that came certain assurances that with your parent you have to behave a certain kind of way. With a parent there is some kind of fear that is there. And of course, some of our parents exerted that fear. They raised us in such a way that we would fear them, you know? I remember when we were having talks with our friends, how we behave when our parents are around, would nickname them. And of course, some of the parents, when they come home, everyone runs for dear life. You know, that kind of fear. And it is understandable in a certain context, you know, when you want to exert your presence as the king of the house, the head of the house. But at the same time, I think if it's really perceived fear that is pushing people to run to their bedrooms to find all these secluded places when you're in the house, it also doesn't again promote that kind of health boundaries between people who are living in the same house. So that perception is always there. But now when I come back to the question and I ask you, are you friends with your child? I'm also talking about a relationship that goes beyond you being the father or the mother and them being the children, okay? But that you really have a genuine friendship. And this is something that for some people it comes naturally, they do it. But for others, it's a relationship that one needs to meditate upon, to think about in that perceived kind of way, and then begin to say, okay, how do I build this relationship? Because for some of us as parents, when you ask, are you friends with your child? They'll say, why would I be friends? I'm the father, I'm the parent, they're the children. You know, if they need friends, they already have their friends. But here's the interesting thing. Look at our world today and how relations have been kind of reformed over time. How we are supposed to relate to our children, okay? Gone are the days when we would have our parents in our presence and sit at the same table with them. You know, when I was being raised, that is something that I wasn't so much used to. Not that my father was a tough man who didn't allow you to come to the table. In fact, he used to invite us to sit with him and the like. But you could even feel a certain kind of discomfort. And yet my father was not the tough types that is going to back at you all. He was such a peaceful man. You know, may his soul rest in peace. But they are parents who our friends talk about, who your peers have talked about, that when they would come home, it would be like terror in the home, you know. They really personified that kind of presence, that kind of fear. They commanded that kind of presence in their home, and that era is gone. Now we are in an era where we are encouraging children to be more inquisitive, to question things, you know. That even when you tell them something, if they feel in their mind that it is something that they are not comfortable with, they would ask you the question, why? You know, and in our days, how could you ask your parent why? How could you ask your teacher why? They say something, it's a command you do. When they say jump, your only response, maybe if you have one, is to say how high. But that era is gone. Parenting today needs a high level of flexibility. It needs us to recalibrate everything. And one of the things that we need to do is that we need to have a different relationship with our children that goes beyond us being parents and them being children. We need to be friends. And why do I say that? Usually among friends, you have a lot of trust. You build a lot of trust. And that is not to say that when you have a child and you've built a friendship between the two of you, that if you have that trust, they won't breach it. Remember, they are children. So have the guarantee in you that they will falter, they will fall, they will make mistakes, they will do things that they've even committed to you and promised you that they wouldn't go up against. You know, but this is part of being a child. They grow, they need to learn, they need to appreciate situations and realities. So when I talk about being friends with your child, I'm talking about you building a relationship where you can kind of build a ground, and with that you can do a lot of things. Number one, when you build trust with your child, it means that chances are higher that when they have issues, when they need someone to go to, when they have something they're dealing with, they'll come to you. Okay? Because many times we've seen that our children actually confide in other people, even strangers, real strangers. They would rather confide in them rather than coming to you. And that doesn't mean that you have a lot of animosity. It simply means they don't trust you enough with certain information. Okay? And don't beat yourself about that. It's just a human thing. But what you need to do is you need to be deliberate and build that friendship with your child, so that they have this relationship whereby you build certain values and certain principles, and you always encourage them and give them the assurance that, look, no matter what happens, come to me, we'll talk about it. And indeed, they'll test you out. Kids are good at that. Children are good at that. They'll come to you with certain things. And one of the things that you need to do when a child comes to you with an issue, forget about for a moment about the fact that it might be something that you know they're acting out, or something that you really feel shouldn't be prioritized. But when they come to you, show them that you're present. Show them that you're there and you're listening. Engage with them, you know. Use that to build that friendship, because then it helps for you to begin building this relationship. And with that relationship, you'll be able to help them go over so many things, to help them make sense of so many things. And most of the time when they have issues that they feel are pertinent, that they should be talking to someone, you'll be the first number one go-to person to talk to about these issues. And I think with that we can eliminate a lot of these hiccups that come up in our relationship with our children. It's very painful for a parent to wake up and you realize that your child has been going through a situation, has been going through something, they've been hurt for a long time, and you are not the first person to get to know about it. It's maybe a teacher, or maybe a friend, or a mother, or a parent to your child's best friend. That when they talk to your when your child talked to their best friend shared this with the mother, and the mother out of concern came and contacted you and talked to you about a certain situation. That means that you've not cultivated that relationship with your child for them to trust you enough, to be trusting enough to bring any kind of stuff to you. And finally, I'll say this: if you build that relationship and it starts yielding results, the one thing you need to be cautious about is, even when they come to you with things that you cannot handle, be diplomatic, be friendly, assure them that, look, I don't have all the answers, but I promise you I'm going to look for the answers, or we are going to go through this together, and I'm going to help you so that we can deal with this. If your child learns that you are the person where they can go with anything, they can talk to you about anything, then you've just created a ground, you've created or cultivated a relationship that will go on for as long as the two of you have life in you. And you'll be able to help them, and they'll always come to you for counsel. So I hope you can take this kind of measure, and that it can help and improve the relationship with your child. Of course, for us as parents, sometimes when a lot of things happen and we get that revelation that something has happened with my child, we beat ourselves knowing that I should have been a better parent, I should have been a friend, I should have come to them, they should have come to me. But I think for that to happen, we have to be deliberate and intentional to build that relationship. Yes, you are the mother, yes, you are the father, but they need friends, and you can be and you should be one of their friends. Thanks for watching, and if you really appreciate this kind of advice, would encourage you to share it with your peers and also tell them to subscribe as we ask you to subscribe. See you next time.